Hey there, Mike Kinnett here from Prostatis. If you're new to the channel, welcome aboard. We simplify retirement so you can keep more of your own money, lower your taxes, and build a plan that actually works the way you want it to work. Now today, we're digging into one of the most common and misunderstood tools in the retirement industry, the IRA. We'll look at how these accounts came to be, how they work today, and what pre-retirees like you need to know to make the best use of them. Now if you find this helpful, give a video a like, subscribe, and drop your questions in the comments section below. We are here to help you. Let's start with a quick history of IRAs. They were introduced back in 1974 through ERISA, the Employee Retirement Income Act. And it was a way to give workers a tax-advantaged way to save for retirement, especially if they didn't have a workplace plan in the first place. Now back then, the original contribution was pretty small, $1,500. Now over time, they've expanded the rules and eventually created the Roth IRAs in 1997, which allows you to, and pay attention to this, it allows you to contribute after-tax money and withdraw it tax-free in retirement. Now think about that for just a moment. If you're a farmer, would you be better off paying tax on that little seed or better off paying tax on all the apples that come off the tree? Not just once all those apples, but every time you pick an apple, every time an apple falls on the ground. Are you better off paying tax on that one little tiny seed and never paying tax on your harvest ever, or paying tax on the harvest for the rest of your life? That's the difference between an IRA and a Roth. Now today, most people can contribute to a set annual limit. Right now it's about $7,000 if you're under 50, and if you're over, it's $8,000. That's called the catch-up contribution. You've probably heard of this. And there are limits that apply across all IRAs, right? So first and foremost, that $8,000, it's over all IRAs, Roth or otherwise. And there's limits on who can contribute. If you make too much money, if you have an employer-sponsored plan, there are limitations on who can contribute. That's why it's so important to work with a professional, a phase 2 fiduciary who understands. Now, what's the difference between a traditional IRA and a Roth IRA? The traditional, you get a tax break for putting the money in, right? But when you put the money in, you get a tax break, but when you take it out, remember that tree I just talked about? You have to pay tax on all the fruit that comes off the tree. Now, Roth IRAs, they're funded with after-tax money. That's that seed, right? So everything you take out, you didn't get a tax break to put it in, but everything you take out is tax-free in the future. And that's so important, especially when it comes to arranging your affairs to make sure you're the lowest tax bracket possible. Do you want to pay tax on the seed, or do you want to pay tax on every apple that ever comes off the tree? Now, your income affects which one you can use. For example, if you earn above a certain amount, you may not be able to contribute to a Roth IRA. Income does impact the ability of which one you can use. For example, if you earn above a certain amount, you can't put money into a Roth. You might be able to do a backdoor Roth, but that's a later conversation. Now here's what you want to make sure you're doing. Every single year, you want to contribute to this tax favored opportunity. Either A, you want to contribute to a Roth, or you want to contribute to your traditional IRA, but regardless of which one you do, you need to make sure you're taking advantage of the rules to set aside enough money as possible for your future. Obviously, we want it as tax efficiently as possible, but that's where a strategic plan comes into place. Now, it's important to understand your income limitations, right? High earners need to be aware of the Roth contribution phase-outs and explore Roth conversions if it makes better sense for you. And that's that backdoor Roth approach. And every year they adjust that phase-out limitation. So you need to look that up or work with a professional who understands how that works. And you also need to coordinate your tax plan. You need to look at your IRA strategy, and it needs to coordinate and fit with a broader tax plan over time, right? This contribution and how you're going to use these Roths and IRAs in the future, this is not a silo issue. You need to look at the entire plan. How does it impact me today, tomorrow, 5 years, 10 years, and 20 years down the road? And you don't want to wait till you retire to start thinking about Roth IRAs. The years just before you retire can be the most powerful opportunities for savings. Take advantage of it. And I can't tell you how often we see this, over contributing or not knowing those phase outs. If you do this wrong, the penalties can be draconian. You keep an eye on your contribution deadlines, make sure you understand how much you can put in there, and make sure, especially if you have multiple IRAs, that you're paying attention to these contributions. Doing it wrong can be disastrous. If we're helping you clarify your IRA strategies, like the video and subscribe for more weekly breakdowns. And if you're wondering how IRAs fit into your retirement plan, drop your questions into the comment sections. We are here to help. So the mistakes we see, and we see them all the time. First and foremost, assuming you can contribute to both an RIA and a Roth and trying to put the full $8,000 into both. Big problem. Not checking your income eligibility each year. You have to have at least a certain amount of money to put it into an IRA, and you can't make too much money to put it into a Roth. Missing April deadlines. You actually have until filing deadline, April 15th, to make your previous year contributions. So make sure you're getting it done. Have that conversation with your advisor. Have that conversation with your tax planner. Thinking a Roth IRA is always better. That can be a huge mistake. Other mistakes we see all the time, thinking a Roth IRA is always better. Sometimes the traditional IRA offers stronger benefits. It's dependent upon your tax situation today and tomorrow. You're better off getting a tax break today than getting the tax break later. You need to understand how taxes work, which is why it drives me absolutely crazy that you're working with an advice giver who does not understand the very investment advice they're giving. They don't understand the tax implications of that advice, and that's an insane way to go through retirement. So here's my final thought on this. IRAs are one of the most powerful retirement tools available to all of us. But like anything, they're only powerful when used correctly. If you want help making sure your IRA strategy is aligned with your income, tax, and your retirement goals, download our free Savvy Investor Retirement Guide, or better yet, take a moment and schedule a discovery call with our team. We are here to help you.